Amy Giles, and this is Michelle Valeri, and we're here for Allen Holistic Family Clinic, and it's part of Allen Midwifery and Family Wellness. So this is really important to us, and we want to do things as naturally as possible because that's really our philosophy. Fertility has changed in such a huge way in the U.S. over years and years. And originally, one of the tests that you'll read a lot about is about how good is the sperm. So you get a sperm sample, and it used to be that when they would look at sperm and they would say there's 80% of good sperm. And so they would say, yes, you're fertile, go and make a baby. And now the WHO uses 3%. If there's greater than 3% of good sperm, then it's good sperm. So that's such a huge difference, and I feel like the expectations for fertility have really changed in such a big way, and that really speaks volumes to it.
And you know, we have to look at nature, kind of follow their lead.
Mm-hmm.
And anything in nature that is forced, it doesn't last, right? And that's the same thing with our bodies. If we force our bodies to become pregnant, chances are it's not going to be a successful outcome, right? So I think if we can set the body up for success and make it as healthy as possible, we increase those odds of having a healthier mom, a healthier dad, and hopefully a healthy baby.
So the CCRM, which is an organization that does fertility research, and they're kind of the organization that you go to look at what are the statistics and what are the tests that they're doing right now. And they quote that IVF has a 37% success rate per cycle. So that's a pretty low percentage when you're looking at that. And then also when you look at like what we just talked about, the fact that we're saying that people are a lot more fertile than what we said years and years ago. So using the 80% of good sperm, and now we say it's 3%. It makes sense why only 37% is successful, because we're not using good eggs and good sperm. So that's our goal, is to make our bodies work the best that they can so that they are fertile and we don't have to use techniques that are invasive and really expensive. I can't believe how in Western medicine we spend so much money on things when really we could probably use diet and exercise. Tell us a little bit about traditional Chinese medicine and how that philosophy works into your practice.
Okay, so basically I really wanted to call this the Holistic Fertility Clinic, because in Chinese medicine there's no such thing as being infertile or having infertility issues, unless of course you're sterile and you've done, whether it's by nature or surgery. If somebody's having a problem getting pregnant or maintaining a pregnancy, that is actually an indication of something's out of balance in the body. And I think that that's a really beautiful way of looking at things too, because our body communicates with us by symptoms, and it can be an excess of an emotion, it can be constipation, it can be not being able to get pregnant, right? So when we start looking at things as this is an out of balance, then we can understand, hey, if it's out of balance, maybe we can get it back in balance, right? So Chinese medicine is all about creating balance within the body. And once there's balance in the body, then the body can maintain harmony, and then the body does what it's going to do.
Traditional Chinese medicine assesses many body systems for signs of fertility or imbalances, such as temperature of hands, feet, and abdomen, skin problems, elimination patterns, stress levels, and past emotional and physical trauma.
I like to let people understand that there are so many things that we look at from a different perspective. So why don't we talk about what Western medicine typically does, and then I'll do the comparison.
I think that sounds great.
Conventional infertility treatments might include initial testing such as semen analysis and blood work for mother and father, diagnostic imaging to examine the uterus and the fallopian tubes. The IVF process begins by preparing the mom's body with hormone shots and medications. Then the eggs are harvested and fertilized and returned back to the uterus. There's a 37% chance of success with IVF.
That's a lot of things that are done, like you say, that are forced. And then you look at the price of it, and the average price of IVF is $12,000 to $15,000 per cycle. So I'm not saying that Western medicine is wrong. I'm just saying that that's a lot of things to go through if that's not the route that you're looking towards. Or maybe some of you have tried that route and it hasn't been successful for you. I think that let's compare that to what you're doing and see the big difference there.
A quick analogy for what IVF is trying to do. So let's just pretend that we have a situation where one or both of the potential parents are having some kind of an out of balance, okay? They don't know that they have an out of balance. But let's pretend like they both still have this out of balance. And the science gods have gone in and pretty much stepped into nature's place, right?
Right.
That does not take away the fact that one or both of those parents still have those same out of balances.
It doesn't fix them.
It does not fix the problem, right? So this is a lot of times why the pregnancies won't be successful, because they never addressed what was wrong, right? So these are things that aren't talked about. And this is what we're talking about, okay, if we have an out of balance, let's address it. Everything is tied to an organ system or a body system. And when you can see that, okay, we've got 3 or 4 systems in the body that have potential problems, but this particular problem, or this particular system has multiple issues, and that's all tied to fertility, or that's all tied to digestion, or elimination, or whatever. So when we look at it from that perspective, we can see things that aren't showing up in blood work. They're not showing up in CT scans, because that's not really, it doesn't matter in that situation. If you have a campfire or a bonfire, you put a wet log on that little campsite, you do everything right. You're squirting it with lighter fluid, you're doing gasoline, you're doing whatever, you're putting all those things in there. You go to light it and nothing happens. Well, in my opinion, that's what's happening when we're trying to force a pregnancy that the body is not ready for.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, so it's all about balance. It's all about coloring outside of the lines, right? We don't want to stay in a box. And, your unique DNA is what makes you who you are. So we have to look at, everything that makes you. We have to look at everything in your personal bubble. We've got to look at everything in your spouse's personal bubble. And then we have to look at that bubble as a unit. And we have to find, okay, how can we make these out of balances back in balance? And then when you come together, how can we make that unit balance?
And I think that reflects in everything that we're doing, trying to involve everyone in the family. And so you're not just looking at the mom and how she's doing, but you're looking at the mom and the dad. And I think that's very different than a lot of
absolutely.
Western medicine.
Absolutely. Trying to create a baby together so you have a problem together. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what we have to look at. And there are some pretty simple tweaks that we can make, but we need to have both people on board.
And so when we look at the program of care that is the traditional Chinese medicine program of care that you've set up, what does that program look like for the mom and the dad? How does that work, and how often do they come?
Okay, so we start out first by having both of the potential parents fill out a health history form. There's a lot of questions on there that won't make any sense as to why do I need to know these things, but they're ridiculously important pieces of the puzzle. So they both need to be filled out. That form is on our website. And once that is filled out, that will be emailed to us. And then once we receive it, we will have the office call you for an appointment. Once we accept you as a client, we will do 2 visits per month for 90 over the course of a 3-month period. And at that time, we'll do some reevaluation and see, are we in a position where we're ready to attempt to have a baby now? Or do we need to go through another cycle of another 90-day period?
I mean, and when you think about all the things that we talked about with the Western medicine approach, there's so many things that you have to put in your body and so many things that you have to do compared to what you've just described, Michelle, that it's really more of kind of a lifestyle change.
Exactly.
And just looking at how we can make our bodies healthier.
Right.
So we're going to have everything on the website. You can go onto our website and download the forms. Again, it'll be one for mom and one for dad. And then you can send it back to us and we will contact you to set up an appointment. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call.